The United States, in the meantime, is in the grip of anti-racism protests. On Sunday, a black man was shot dead at a traffic stop. He was just a couple of miles from where George Floyd died last year. Was this another case of police brutality against African Americans? The protesters think so. So does the victim's family. But the police department says that the whole incident was a mistake. That the officer, and listen to this, the officer was going for her taser but ended up pulling her firearm. How plausible is this? And what does this say about the training standards in America? Our next report tells you.
16 weeks. That's all it takes to be a cop in Minneapolis. 16 weeks of training and you are out on the streets. A rookie officer with a gun in tow. It's a recipe for disaster. And on Sunday, we realized why. The officer shouts in disbelief after firing her gun. She was apparently going for her taser, instead ended up pulling out the handgun. A costly mistake.
As I watched the video and listened to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
Even for the uninitiated, a taser and a handgun are worlds apart. This is what a taser looks like, almost like a toy, and nowhere near as heavy. It's a non-lethal weapon. Cops use it to electroshock unruly suspects. A handgun, on the other hand, is a lethal weapon. It is used to kill or maim suspects. The fact that a trained police officer could not tell them apart is unsettling.
It's not just a taser, just how to handle situations with any suspect. Okay, escalation of force and making sure that these officers are confident that the first thing they're not going to do is pull out their gun. They have other tools. Experience and training will help them control a situation with their command presence.
There were 3 officers on location that day and 1 suspect. Daunte Wright's death wasn't the worst case scenario, it was the implausible scenario. But that's exactly how things played out. So, how common are such mistakes and why do they happen? A 2012 report documented 9 cases going back to 2001, so it is rare, but not unheard of. Most officers carry their tasers on their weak side, so their dominant hand reaches for the taser first, and not their firearm. It is not clear whether the Minneapolis officer was following this rule, but for Daunte Wright's family, the officer's explanation simply doesn't cut it.
My brother lost his life because they were trigger happy. Like, again, you know your left from your right. You know the difference between plastic and metal. We all know it. We know the difference in night and day.
Anti-racism protesters have hit the streets in Minnesota and Oregon. Smoke bombs and riot gear have returned, and echoes of Black Lives Matter are ringing again. The murder may indeed have been a mistake, but pulling up Daunte Wright wasn't. Costing him with force wasn't. Racism isn't America's mistake, it is the original sin. Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.